Always Be With You is an award-winning documentary about living with herpes. No, it isn't.
佢會跟住你㗎。唔好一錯再錯啦，始終都會穿煲㗎。
Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Oral Valtrex, and this is my review of Always Be With You. 20 years ago, Herman Yao directed Louis Koo and Lao Lan in Troublesome Night, launching a series that managed to turn out 18 sequels in just 6 years. Always Be With You may or may not be the 20th anniversary, and just plain 20th, installment of the franchise. I'm not saying it's a mystery, just that I don't know for sure. One thing I do know for sure is that Hong Kong doesn't make many ghost movies these days. Besides, it makes it easier to appreciate the ghost movies that we do get. But Herman Yao certainly doesn't need any help getting appreciation. He wrote and directed Always Be With You, and I think that makes a difference. A movie whose biggest surprise isn't that it's good, because it is, but just how good it is and the number of ways in which it's good. Always Be With You is, like so many Hong Kong ghost movies new and old, a collection of stories that intersect at different points in the film. I'm not going to detail those stories because they're not cars. And because the stories aren't the most important thing about this movie. What is most important, I think, is talking about how much fun this movie is. Now, I love Hong Kong ghost movies. They're part of a genre that typifies, in a lot of ways, the city's unique contributions to cinematic tradition. Like your movie opening with Lao Lan doing scary stuff. Gold. By using culturally specific elements alongside things like, musical elements and jump scares, local ghost movies create something that is simultaneously very local, but also globally frightening. Speaking of which, another reason I love local ghost movies is that I get to watch the local audience being sincerely scared out of their wits. I've seen, for example, someone in a cinema becoming almost distraught at the sight of Lam Sut in white face paint in Tales from the Dark 1. It didn't frighten me, but it really scared that person 2 rows in front of me. Well, I wasn't scared during Always Be With You, but I was scared beforehand, mostly by the knowledge that 2 of the people in it were Charlene Choi and Charmaine Shea. But such is Herman Yao's skill at making movies that neither of them really bothered me that much. Charlene Choi remains a blank space, blank face, in the middle of the screen around which, a movie occurs. But since she's not the center of the movie this time, it wasn't a problem. If anything, it was kind of entertaining watching her try to register an emotional response to something and failing miserably. But now I'm just being mean. Speaking of which, Charmaine Shea really wasn't all that bad, especially compared to her recent performances in movies like Line Walker, Triumph in the Skies, and Return of the Cuckoo. But I generally hold TVB to be the real culprit in that bunch of movies. Besides, I was one of the few 100 people that paid actual money to watch Lady Iron Chef in the cinema, so obviously I'm not the brightest bulb in the desk. Wait, never mind. Another reason that I really enjoy local ghost films, at least the good ones, is because they can use local culture as a way to create a dramatic tension. Without spoiling anything, I'll just say that familiar with local loan shark operating procedure is used to very commendable effect in Always Be With You. So too is the cast. Louis Koo turns in his most watchable performance in some time, breaking out of his usual, Keanu Reeves impression, and showing us that he's capable of being funny as well as sincere and even smiling. Gordon Lam turns in a typically engaging, convincing role as a man with the moral fiber of a rented snake. But for me, the biggest and most pleasant surprise of the movie is a scene between Lam Sut and Kingdom Yoon. You may find yourself responding to them even as your brain is trying to remind you that these 2 people are actors known more for their comic than their dramatic chops. But that scene is just one of the many pleasant surprises in this movie. Now, I realize it's probably kind of unfair on some level, but to be honest, this level of filmmaking is what I've come to expect from Herman Yao. He directed but also wrote Always Be With You, and I have to say, he directed the out of this movie. He's created a film that, as usual, is better than it objectively should be, and, as per usual, makes the most out of what he has to work with. His cast is, as I've said, very strong, but I have a feeling that his schedule and his budget were not luxurious. But it doesn't matter, because he's Herman Yao. This movie is just full of instances where his skill and experience and even sense of humor shine. I think my personal favorite is the internal homage to one of his most infamous films. It's funny, pertinent, and if anybody's earned the right to make an homage to themselves, it's Herman Yao. Always Be With You is ample evidence of Herman Yao's decades of experience as a director. There's so much of this movie that proves it. I could be here for 2 hours giving you examples from a 90-minute film, but I'm not going to do that. His direction takes a light touch, but that's because there's enough experience and self-assurance that he knows he doesn't have to prove anything to anybody, especially me. I like the way that the story showed you plot points but didn't tell you. It doesn't insult the audience, but it does demand our attention, which, all things considered, you'd think was a given for people watching a movie. But we all know that that's not how the Hong Kong audience... The only thing that I would have liked to have seen done differently with this movie was its release date. I wish it came out during the Hungry Ghost Festival. But then, I wish there were more ghost movies. I wish more movies were as good as Always Be With You. I wish more directors were as good, as entertaining, and as reliable as Herman Yao. As you can tell, I really enjoyed this movie, and I think you would too. The thing I took away from it the most is just watching someone with decades of experience making a movie. He makes it look effortless and easy, and I know that it's not. I expected to be entertained because it's a ghost movie, and I enjoy them. But I was really, really impressed by the filmmaking. And as I said, I think you will too if you watch it. So please do me and Herman the favor of going to watch this movie in the cinema, because that's how it's the most fun. Big, scary, loud ghost movie on a big screen. If you don't get that chance, wait till you can rent or buy it. Don't steal from Herman Yao or anybody else. Not even Wilson Chin. When this movie gets released to home video, I'll update the description with a link where you could buy a copy. And as long as we're talking about money, I think I'll put it right on my own face to see if it helps. Please click on my Patreon page, because for just a couple of dollars a month, you could make a significant difference in my life. Oh, and by the way, I do mean American dollars, not Hong Kong dollars, because you'd have to be some kind of a cheap bastard to pledge 2 Hong Kong dollars a month. But I digress. So please, click on this link. Click on my face. Click on my face. That got weird, didn't it? If you enjoyed my review, please let me know. And if you didn't, let me know. If you enjoyed the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.